Hey, what's up YouTube? Lightsaber Samurai here, and I'm back again with another video. And one thing that I was thinking about the other day while chilling here in the game room is video game names. And I never really think about what goes into naming a video game. Some of these games that we play have just the perfect titles that describe everything about the game. Things like the Uncharted series or the Tomb Raider series, for instance, just really tell you what you're getting into, really personify the type of game, the story, the action that's to be had. And honestly, I think it's a really tough thing to name a video game. Again, as I was saying, I feel like a lot goes into naming video games. And then there are times where I feel like they just half-ass it. But we should not let that stop us from the fact that some of these terribly named games have awesome gameplay and experiences underneath. So without further ado, lame name, awesome game, let's talk about it. Okay, so what to start this off with? I figured I would start off with a game that most of us in the retro community know about, especially if you were playing games during the 6th generation of consoles, that of course being the GameCube, the original Xbox, the PS2. In my opinion, one of the best first-person shooters to come out of that generation is Black. And this is, of course, the original Xbox version. Now, Black itself, very generic name. It's black, like just a color. That being said, it does actually kind of talk about or describe what the game is about. You play as a black ops, a black operative of some point who's been disavowed and has been captured by what appears to be the United States. The game starts off, he's being interrogated for some recent actions and things that he's committed. And so basically his only way to escape justice is to talk about, or basically tell his side of the story to try to clear his name. And in this game, the flashbacks are what makes up the levels. This game, super groundbreaking at the time when it came out, and it was very important because when this game came out in 2006, the 7th generation had already begun. The Wii was out, the PS3 was out, the Xbox 360 was out. We were getting some really good, fresh and new experiences on those consoles, and Criterion was just like, you know what, one last hurrah for the 6th generation. They squeezed all of the juice out of the PS2 and the Xbox. Both versions look fantastic. Again, we are looking at the original Xbox version, which displays in 480p. Of course, I prefer this over the PS2 because, again, because of that, and I feel like the controls are better with the Xbox controller. Not much else to say about this game. The action itself is complete balls to the walls. It's out of control. Things blow up spectacularly and often. They did really good with enemy animations, like as far as death animations and things like that. The guns are the stars of the shows, and so all of the guns are rendered in incredible detail. Again, for the time, this is one of the best looking games from that generation. Just all of the little details and touches, the particle effects on point. Again, like I said, the explosions were really ramped up. The sound design is also fantastic. This playing in, I believe, Dolby 5.1 surround on the Xbox, and things sound good. It's just a very visceral and very frenetic pace this game has. That being said, that's pretty much all there is to the game. The campaign itself is actually kind of short. There's like 9 or 10 missions, and you can go through this game in about 4 to 6 hours. But I'm telling you, that's some of the best 4 to 6 hours you will ever spend in a game. Storyline is it. There is no multiplayer to speak of, which is definitely a missed opportunity with a game like this. And outside of that, the only thing you really unlock is things like silver weapons and stuff like that. Silver weapons have unlimited ammo, and again, ammo is plentiful in the game, so it's really not an issue. It is cool when you get a hold of things like the rocket launcher or something like that, but that only comes up a couple of times in the game, and kind of few and far between to really enjoy that. all in all, that being said, this game is still pretty cheap, but you can play this. Again, another reason why I prefer the original Xbox version, because you can play this on your Xbox One X and it looks fantastic. The Xbox Series X is coming out this week, and I'm sure that this will be added to the BC list as well. So being able to play this game on our 9th generation of systems, and just seeing that upscale to 4K and everything like that, the frame rate is smoother and the load times are quicker. Fantastic. Whatever system you can find it on, definitely pick it up. It's a must-have game. Okay, moving on next. This is crazy. I'm reviewing a Game Boy Color game, and I think this might be a first on the series. I've gone over a couple of Game Boy Advance games before, but this is the fantastic Power Quest. And again, super generic name, just Power Quest. No thought went into that, but thought definitely went into the game. In this, you play as a young boy who lives in this town, and in this world they settle all of their disputes by battling their toy robots, and that's basically the basis for the game. It's sort of like Pokemon or something to that effect, but with robots. You will battle other trainers and other opponents, and they will give you money, and then you can use that money to go buy new parts and upgrades for your robot. The cool thing about this game is that it's a cool cross between an RPG and a fighting game. So you'll have the top-down 2D world maps that you see in 8-bit and 16-bit RPG games. Like I said, you'll run into townspeople, and in some cases you'll do odd jobs for people. There'll be things you can do off the beaten path, usually to earn more money. But when you battle another opponent, then it switches into a 2D fighting game, and the fighting mechanics on this are really good. If you've played a Capcom fighter like Street Fighter, then you'll definitely be able to get in control, especially if you played some of the 2D games on the Game Boy Color, like for instance Street Fighter Alpha on the Game Boy Color. The controls are very similar to that, and as a 2D fighting game, it works really good. You can pull off a ton of special moves. They've got throws here, the counters, and all of that. 6 different styles of robot that you can choose from, and again, like I said, you can buy parts to customize them, and the graphics look good. The sound is fantastic. I forgot to mention this is a Sunsoft game, and Sunsoft is known for their fantastic sound and their fantastic soundtracks. Power Quest is no exception in that regard. It sounds great. The major issue I have with this game is the grinding. You will do a ton of grinding in this game, and the difficulty curve spikes up really quick. The first few matches are easy, but shortly after, once you pound on the kids in the park over and over again to branch out, you really got to have a deep understanding of the mechanics, as well as you've got to have some upgrades at that time. The problem is the upgrades are super expensive, and you are literally getting $10 to $15 for fighting the average opponents, like the kids. So some of the harder opponents, they might give you $100. But again, the harder opponents are super hard to beat, and you'll have to beat them 10 times over to have enough to buy an upgrade. So the grinding in this game is nigh unbearable. But that being said, every other aspect of this game is really good. It's a cheap game. Last I saw, this game was going for about $10 or so for cart only. But if it has shot up in price, just emulate it if you can. It's definitely a game worth experiencing if you like the Game Boy Color, and if you've had this game in the past, definitely go back and enjoy it. I enjoyed it quite a bit, so if you see Power Quest, it's recommended. Definitely pick it up. Okay, so next up, sticking with Sunsoft, and we are moving on to the NES. This is my top 10 favorite, if not top 5 on the system for sure. Again, by the fantastic Sunsoft. This is Blaster Master on the NES. Again, fantastic name, but Blaster Master is a very lazy title, but fantastic. This is primarily a 2D action platformer that takes place mainly in your tank, and driving it around, it's really cool. I really like the graphics and the way they handled the physics in this game, which is something that I didn't really notice out of 8-bit games at the time or really pay attention to, but this is one of the ones that when you jump, for instance, you can kind of feel the suspension in the tank's tires, if that makes sense. How they did this, I don't know, but you definitely feel the movement. The controls are perfect. in this game, and moving around is a joy. Again, the complexity of this game comes with its gameplay styles. Again, this is part action RPG, part action platformer, part puzzler, action puzzle game. The cool thing about this is you can hop out of the tank at various points pretty much whenever you want, and you can continue combat on foot using your pea shooter to destroy the same enemies you have to use the battle tank for, which is kind of hilarious. You will go into certain parts that you can only enter while on foot, and that's also where you take on boss characters, and once that happens, it's going to that 2D top-down belt scrolling style. The character becomes much larger and you can navigate through the areas there. You'll have to in some cases blow up rocks to reveal hidden doors, kind of Bomberman style, or Robo Warrior if you guys have played that on the NES. And again, just everything about this game. The music is fantastic. Again, one of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time for sure. Sunsoft was no slouch in the music department in the 8 and 16-bit era. This is another example of that. The graphics, again, the graphics are really good in my opinion for an 8-bit system, just because they were able to cram so much into this game. All in all, I've never personally beat this game. I would like to, but it gets kind of hard early on as the game goes on, but still a joy to play every time. This game isn't very hard to find, and I don't think it's very expensive. I think it's around the $20-ish mark. So again, a game this old can be easily emulated if it does get out of range for some of you, and I suggest doing that however you can. Play this game, experience it. It's always a fun time. It's Blaster Master on the NES. Okay, penultimate game on the list now, and this is a franchise that dates back, I believe, to the Atari 2600 and the pre-8-bit computer days. This here is the PSP version we're looking at, so we're reviewing a PSP game, one of my favorite handhelds of all time, and this is Battlezone. It got a reboot of sorts in 2006 with the PSP version, and I don't know too much about this game. Again, I know it's a long running franchise. It also got a remaster in 98, I think, on the N64 or something like that. Basically, this is an arena kind of car combat game, but it takes place in these hovering tanks, and you just duke it out to gain supremacy. Simple concept and a simple game, not much of a story to be had here, but it's a fun distraction. It's a very cheap game, so I don't feel bad with spending the $5 that I spent at Bookaholic to track this game down. The graphics on it look really good. It's a really good looking PSP game, and I think everything flows really nicely. There are some drab colors, again, which was kind of the thing during that era of video games, but when you look at some of the attacks and some of the energy attacks, you'll see nice splashes of color in there. Not much I can say about this game. The downside of it is this game just doesn't have much substance. There is some customization to be had a little bit, but most of it comes in the form of pickups that you find on the battlefield. So you'll use these pickups to gain the upper hand. In addition to fighting your opponents in the arena, there are other obstacles like turrets that pop up that attack everybody and things like that. So all in all, again, this was a nice distraction. I couldn't recommend this game if it gets too expensive, but at the $5 that it's currently going for, it's a pretty good addition to your PSP library. Okay, moving on to the final game today. This came out on the Wii U, and this is by the great folks at Nintendo, and that, of course, is Super Mario 3D World. First of all, let me say that it's super cool that the Wii U got its own standalone Mario title for the most part. I think this also came out alongside the 3DS. I know there's a 3DS version, and so maybe that's where this game got its name. That being said, it still sounds generic and lazy to me, especially considering we have games like Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, all that take place in 3D worlds, and there may even be some that I'm forgetting, but that being said, this is a fantastic game. The graphics are super on point, nice and colorful, just like Nintendo likes to do it. Fantastic remix versions of a ton of old Mario tunes, old and new. They also added some new some new perks and abilities like the cat suit, which I had a lot of fun utilizing. They've also got like the double Mario and things like that. So So this is all in all just a really good game, a nice variety in the level design. You'll play a lot of levels in kind of like a slightly isometric 3D perspective, as well as doing some old school like 2D side-scrolling platforming type stuff. The multiplayer in this game is also fantastic. You can play up to 4 players simultaneously moving through the levels, and me and my family, we have a lot of fun just playing through that. All in all, fantastic game, and again, just not really feeling the name, but if you have a Wii U, a 3DS, or a Switch, of course, because I think this was ported to the Switch, definitely pick it up. It's a worthy addition to the Mario franchise, and in my opinion, one of the better overall titles. Alright guys, so I think that's going to do it for this video, but let's talk about in the comment section below. Questions, comments, concerns, threats. What are some other titles that you think are lazily named but have a good game underneath? If you like this content, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe. If you haven't done so already, you'll be glad you did. I do believe that's all I got for you. Lightsaber Samurai out. Peace.